South African deployment of soldiers to DRC is out of order. It must be withdrawn with immediate effect. Not that South Africa is not supposed to deploy in DRC. We're supposed to deploy in DRC and be in the forefront. We just don't have the army. Our army can't look after cabbages. I can't hire them in my farm to go and look after cabbages. We just don't have the army. The ANC has collapsed the army. That's why in the manifesto of the EFF we say we will finance the army and make sure that it's properly trained and the necessary equipment needed for the success of the army is provided. The army has collapsed. How come the AK-47s just enter South Africa with ease? Look at what KwaZulu-Natal has become now, where guns are found with ease. AK-47 is associated with Mozambique. It's even on their logo. The flag of Mozambique has got AK-47 because that is a weapon of their choice. It has never been for us. Unless in exile, in MK and APLA and all of that. But we as a country, we don't count amongst ourselves the weapons that we prefer, AK-47. So it tells you this thing is entering somewhere. Where is the army? It's not there. There's no army. So they are sent there to be killed because they are not properly trained. They must come back home, and we must stop with any military deployment until we are fit and proper. Just take a walk and look at a South African soldier walking. You see a demoralized man who's carrying a rifle, and you see that rifle is heavy on him. He's not even fit to carry that rifle. They killed it. So, Cyril Ramaphosa wants to kill our children in DRC. Those rebels, DRC, they are well equipped. Who goes to a base of an army if you know that thing is an army and is powerful? You go to the base once you have undermined them. Base. That's why all of the army in the battlefield, when things are bad, they are called to retreat to the base. Because that's where you can regroup and attack. No, they come to a base. That's how weak you are. They come to your base and finish you off in your base. We were undermined to that level. And it's not for the first time. We were beaten in Central African Republic. Also in the base. We are attacked in the base. What kind of an army is this one that get easily attacked in a base? If you are saying you've got the army, and with so much money being used to go and finance the ANC election campaign. Because that's what they are doing. They are sending those soldiers there. The last time, you remember, the soldiers, SG, were complaining that they are deployed, was it July unrest or something? They didn't have food.
Yes.
They didn't have food. The soldiers did not have food. So who's going to fight with an empty stomach? How are you going to shoot that rifle with an empty stomach? They are not being fed. The situation has deteriorated. How do you have a base of the army in Northern Cape burning down without the army having the capacity to extinguish the fire itself? What if it was another country burning our army base? How is there? We're not going to defend ourselves.
Welcome to LT Celeb Times. That's it for now, guys. And please tell us what you think about this on the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching.
Now, in the last 48 hours, we have seen increased tensions within the eastern part of DRC Congo. Different people across the world have spoken about this, especially in Africa. We've seen Kenya's President William Ruto giving a statement as the head of East African Community and saying that he has convened a meeting of East African head of states to really come and talk about this issue. Specifically, he pointed out that Rwanda's President Paul Kagame and Felix Tshisekedi of DRC Congo have committed to engage in this meeting. We know that these two leaders have for some time now thrown words at each other where they are all blaming each other over the conflict that is going on. DRC says that Rwanda is responsible for sponsoring the M23 rebel group that is invading eastern part of DRC, especially in Goma region, and causing havoc in that part of the world. However, Rwanda is, on the other hand, saying that they are not responsible for anything happening in DRC. And one thing they know is that those who are fighting are people from the DRC part. And therefore, there is no way a Rwandese government can control what Congolese are doing. So this has led to a lot of altercation. And now we are seeing huge number of people and apocalyptic scenes are being seen where hundreds and thousands of people are moving away from that part and displaced to different parts of DRC and even outside DRC. So in today's video, I want us to focus on some things that are happening and especially speeches that were given. One of notable leaders who has spoken about this is JULIUS Malema. He says that the thing that is happening in DRC cannot continue, and he knows that the war there is benefiting Western nations. And this must stop. So Africa must find a long-lasting solution so that this can be addressed. I want you to listen to these clips, then let's come back and share our thoughts together.
By the imperialist forces in the West because they benefit out of the instability of DRC and Africa in particular. If there is any country that was messed up right from the beginning was DRC. They have been destabilizing that country for many years because they want those minerals in the DRC. They even created illegal landing strips to land in DRC, to steal directly from DRC and leave. There's nothing revolutionary about M23. Yes, we understand the dynamics of those who are found in that region and the leadership of DRC ill-treating them. But what is important is we cannot allow black-on-black violence. In whose interest is that? Why do you take up arms to kill other fellow Africans? So we should first stabilize DRC and support the SADC initiatives and support the UN intervention, because the stability of DRC means the stability of SADC, and the stability of SADC means the stability of our continent. So we should be concerned that there are problems in the DRC, and before they come to us, they have to be stopped in DRC. You don't wait for them to come to you for you to realize we have a problem. If they can do it in DRC, that will become a practice. And the African agenda is such that we have to go and help the people of DRC. But we must not do that to our own detriment. We have to deploy the best capacity we have. And if we don't have, let's confess we don't have it and withdraw. We may have the interest to defend, but we may not have the capacity. But children are going to die. Somebody's children are going to die, not only these ones. If you had shot 9 American soldiers with that madness which is in the presidents of America now, they would have flattened you the following day. No one would have played jokes. People are playing jokes with the lives of our brothers, and we must not allow that. If they can't give them equipment, let them come back.
The National Employees Association.
Before you blame Rwanda on the issue of the M23 in the Democratic Republic of Congo, I want to give you a small background about exactly what is happening in the eastern part of the Congo. How did it all start? Because all you hear is that Rwanda is supporting M23 rebels. The DRC government is fighting against the M23 rebels to take the eastern region of the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's what you hear in the news every day. I want to tell you exactly what's happening there. Let's go back to where it all started. During the infamous Berlin Conference in Europe, when Europeans were dividing Africa amongst themselves, the Belgians took Congo, the Germans took Rwanda, Germans took Tanzania as well, and the English took Uganda, carving out this area amongst themselves as Europeans. They didn't care which tribes they were cutting in between. Most tribes in Africa have been cut in between. At the borders of most African countries, you find that the same tribe is found on each side of the border. It is very common across Africa because the Europeans did not care how they are dividing these tribes. All they did is just, you're taking this, we're taking this, you're taking this, we're taking this. So that's how they divided the DR Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi, Tanzania, around that area. And the Tutsi tribe ended up having its territory divided between two countries, Rwanda and the then Zaire, which is today's Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, why are the M23 rebels fighting against the Democratic Republic of Congo forces and the United Nations in the eastern part of the Republic of Congo? And who are the M23? The M23 rebels are a rebel group that was formed by the Tutsis themselves to defend their territory, which is the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, to defend against who? Against the Democratic Republic of Congo government, which has been trying to take over their land, the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo, for decades now. You might be wondering how a group of people might be trying to defend themselves against their own government in their own country. Yes. That's the Democratic Republic of Congo. There is no rule of law. Everybody for himself. If you are weak, you are displaced. And this is what happens. Countries like the United States, China, and Russia have gone to the Democratic Republic of Congo, have chosen territories that they want to take over, and they've armed tribes that live there to fight off some tribes. So weaker tribes are taken over. So every tribe in the Congo DRC has to arm itself to the teeth. Those who have more arms and stronger, they take more territory. Government is in on it. The United States, the EU, they use the United Nations troops as cover for gang warfare that is going on in the DRC. There's no government in the DRC. They call themselves government, yes, because they run things from Kinshasa. But in actual fact, they are a gang that represents the United States, France, and others to loot the DRC. And what do? The Democratic Republic of Congo forces themselves will go out there and displace their own people off their land and allow American, British, and Belgian and French companies to be mining on those lands while the indigenous people on those lands have been displaced into refugee camps. Some have been displaced into other countries. Generations are born outside the Congo because they can't go back. They've been displaced and their lands are being guarded by the gun. Under the watch of the Democratic Republic of Congo government. This is why the Tutsis in the eastern part of the Congo armed themselves, starting with the Banyamulenge, now with the M23. Because if you don't arm yourself in the DRC as a tribe, you are finished, especially if you have rich land like the eastern part of the DRC that belongs to the Tutsis. So the M23 rebels had to arm themselves to fight to defend their territory. The eastern part of Congo is rich with uranium, lithium, and other semiconductor minerals that are used to make phones and drones and everything. So now, the world is moving towards drones and phones, these smartphones and everything, and electric car batteries and everything. And these minerals are in abundance in the eastern part of the Congo. Are you following me? So, government forces are fighting to take the eastern part of the Congo away from the Tutsis. The Democratic Republic of Congo government is not being very honest. The truth is, they are fighting to take away the eastern part of the Congo so that the United States and other countries can enjoy exploiting those minerals in the eastern part of Congo after displacing the people, the Tutsis, the rightful owners of the eastern part of the Congo. Now, how does Rwanda come in? Follow me now. Rwanda comes in because there's a Tutsi government in Rwanda. And they are one people, by the way. They are just divided by the borders. They speak one language. They have one culture. They have the same religion. So they went to Rwanda and asked for help from Rwanda. So what does Rwanda do? They are countrymen. They are clansmen. Can they let them down? No. Because even when they are mining their own land as Tutsis in the eastern part of the Republic of Congo, they are not going to export their minerals that they are mining from there through Kinshasa or through other places. They have to find safer routes that they trust. So where are the safer routes to get the minerals out? It's Rwanda and Uganda. Do you understand what's going on here? So they fostered a relationship with Rwanda. Now, what does Rwanda benefit? From the exports, of course. One. Number two, after the genocide in Rwanda, it was a fight between the Hutus and the Tutsis. The Hutu tribe also is found in Democratic Republic of Congo, and it was divided in half by the Europeans. It is also found in the Democratic Republic of Congo, by the way. This is how complicated this whole thing is. So now, the Hutus, after being defeated in Rwanda, they escaped to the DRC. So when they escaped to the DRC, they were regrouping there to come and overthrow the government by force in Rwanda. So I said, how does the Rwandan government benefit from this scenario? Number one, I said, exportation through Rwanda of minerals. Number two, national security of the Rwandan government, the Rwandan people, has to be guaranteed. How? Because the Hutus could regroup and attack Rwanda again. So how do they guarantee national security as Rwanda? They have to keep those Hutus in the DRC in check. So how does Rwanda do that? They use their clansmen, the Tutsis that are found in the DRC, to keep the Hutus in the DRC in check. Do you see there? So that's the second way that Rwanda is benefiting from the relationship that it has with the Tutsis that are found in the DRC. Now, the DRC government is not being honest because they are trying to push the Tutsis out of the eastern part of the Congo, saying they have to go back to Rwanda. Where do they go back to? The eastern part of the Republic of Congo is their land. It is their land. You cannot expel a people and leave their land. The DRC government is not being honest. What they want is the minerals, the uraniums and the lithiums and other semiconductor minerals that are found in the eastern part of the Congo, the land that belongs to Tutsis. So they want to expel the Tutsis from there to Rwanda. You cannot, because these people is their land. The Europeans just divided it and said, this is Congo, this is Rwanda. So the DRC government, by not being honest on this issue, is complicating things. And the United Nations is coming in an already chaotic situation. But everybody knows the United Nations is the United States. So the United States has interest in the eastern part of the Republic of Congo because it is rich with semiconductors, which are important for nuclear arms production, drones, and all these phones and car batteries and airplanes and everything in the eastern part of the Congo. That's why the war is concentrated on the eastern part of the Congo, because the United States and its allies are fighting to push the Tutsis off their land, because their land is rich with minerals that are used in making of semiconductors, drones, and nuclear weapons. This is why they are fighting hard.
Now, with all that is happening in Eastern DRC Congo, I'm left asking myself some questions. One of them is the independence that we gained as Africa helping us? Because it seems our independence has not really arrived. Why do I ask this question? You know, Africa in itself is designed into different countries, almost 54, because the white man or the Europeans wanted it to be so. they divided Africa without consideration of our communities that existed or everybody that was here. All they wanted is that they wanted a portion for what they could take away from us. And that is how they have been continuing to plunder us to date. For now, we know that Eastern DRC is full of very, very valuable minerals. And these minerals remain a point of contention because there are multinational companies that are funding these rebels and are funding wars so that there will never be peace in that area. While this war is continuing, Western nations will come and they will say that we want to help you. We want to help you finish and quell this war. But then at the end of the day, what will they get in exchange? They are coming to take our valuable minerals from that part of the world. And this is neocolonialism as it comes and as it goes. And that is why many times I've always agreed with the speech that was given by Kwame Nkrumah, the first Prime Minister of Ghana, at the height of Ghana gaining its independence. You know that Ghana is the first sub-Saharan African country that gained its independence from European governments. And then one thing that he did during this process is that he gave a speech that continued to be powerful even to date. He said that as long as other African countries are not liberated, Ghana's independence will remain meaningless. And the dream that he had as one of the founding fathers of Africa is that with the exit of European governments out of Africa, he wanted to ensure that Africa goes back to its original state, where there are no boundaries, there are no countries, we are just a full nation of African people united together by the Ubuntu spirit. And this was hijacked by some people, where the Western nation funded other leaders who met at Addis Ababa, and they created the Organization of African Union, OAU, that is today named African Union. So that is what they gave us as a shadow of the desire and the dream of people like Kwame Nkrumah, who wanted that Africa remains one united nation. And this was not achieved. To date, you find that the war that is going on in DRC Congo right now, it is something that is easy to explain because the border that is between Rwanda and DRC Congo is separating a community, and this is the Tutsi community. There are some Tutsi community found in DRC Congo, and then there are some Tutsi community found in Rwanda. And I guess the main reason why Felix Tshisekedi sees Paul Kagame, president of Rwanda, as responsible for funding these people is because he himself, President Kagame himself, is a Tutsi. And that really says a lot about what is in the mind of Felix Tshisekedi. But is that really the problem? For me, I think that is not the problem. Right now, like for instance, in East Africa, you will find that we have Maasais. Maasais are found in Kenya, Maasais are found in Uganda, and Maasais are found in Tanzania. How is it that you can say that a Maasai leader in Kenya can affect what is going on in Tanzania or even in Uganda? You can also check another part where we have Somalis. In Kenya, we have Kenyan Somalis, and then we have Somalia with Somalis. They are sharing a border, and that border has both communities living together. So you would not come and say that a Kenyan Somali is instigating war in Somalia. These are some of the things that I think we really need to go and look at in a deeper manner to really reclaim the desire and the clarion call by people like Kwame Nkrumah, who wanted Africa not to be divided, because this division has created enmity between communities. Yet we are one people. The borders divided people not caring where they lived. You could be a community of, let's say, Bantus, and then these Bantus, because a border has passed across, you are going to be divided. Some are going to be of the other country, and others are going to be of this other country. So the war that is going on in Eastern DRC is something that is really exposing a lot of faults in Africa as it is today. And I think the continent needs to sit down and embrace the ideology of people like Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, who wanted a United States of Africa. It is really sad that Africa can continue fighting with itself. African people can continue killing each other over things that are meaningless. Why is it that you come claiming that you are a Rwandese? Another one is saying that you are a Congolese. Yet you are people of the same community. I want Africa to be united. And I think this is all that everybody should desire, that Africa remains united and our leaders remain united at all costs. One thing that really hurts me about this entire situation is how African leaders are responding to it. We saw Kenya's president, William Ruto, acknowledging that he talked to some Western leaders and they have agreed to help him. How on earth can someone who created the problem help in addressing it? If you want to know who is controlling the war in DRC Congo, listen and watch the people whom he contacted. Here is what he wrote in his Twitter handle. The first tweet he sent about this issue reads as follows. I have spoken to President Emmanuel Macron of France on situation in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. He has expressed his support for the regional effort to deal with the challenge. President Macron also committed his country's support for the interventions carried out and for Kenya's participation in other peace initiatives in Somalia, Sudan, and Southern Sudan. Another person he wrote another tweet that I've had a telephone conversation with United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio on a variety of issues of mutual concern for our two countries. We discussed the need to conclude the strategic trade and investment partnership agreement that seeks to license investment, promote sustainable and inclusive economic growth by unlocking the existing economic opportunities. We also discussed the United Nations-led multinational security support mission in Haiti and agreed on a joint strategy to ensure the mission serves its purpose. On regional peace and security, Secretary Rubio praised Kenya's efforts to promote regional stability. We discussed the situation in the eastern DRC Congo and the support needed from the United States of America. I updated Secretary Rubio on the security situation in Sudan, South Sudan, and Somalia. I am glad that the U.S. has committed to continue to deploy its capabilities to support Kenya's peace mission in the region. So you're finding that Kenya in itself is a puppet because he, as the president of Kenya, has admitted to have contacted his puppeteers, that is Macron and Marco Rubio, France and United States. And these are the people who are responsible for stealing our resources from the eastern part of Congo and other parts of Africa. Africa needs real leaders, and President William Ruto is failing in all these categories. I think as somebody who is really wanting to respond to the issues affecting people in DRC Congo, these are issues that we need not to go out and seek external solutions. It's all about African people sitting down and knowing where the problem is and addressing it as it should be. Tell me down in the comment section what you think about this. And if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.